You, the Messiah. No offense, Perdre, but that has got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Why not me?
Have you met yourself? Perdre, you drink, you fight, you like to break people's arms just to hear the sounds they make.
Ooh, just to hear the sounds they make, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Preacher versus Preacher. It's a comparison companion. Each week, we get together, we not only recap AMC's series Preacher, but we directly compare it to the 90s comic it's based on. That was by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, way back in the glory days of comics called the 90s. I'm not alone. My name's Bill Sweeney. I got my buddy Dom.
What's up, Pilgrims? Welcome back.
And, just happy to be back.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here. Well,
This was an interesting episode.
Tom/Brady.
Yes, episode 8,
Oof.
season 3. Can we believe it?
I can't.
I think we said this last week.
Yeah, I feel like we said it like the last few weeks.
I think so.
It's going so fast.
It's moving along. Hey, time flies when you're having fun, right?
Oh, is that what they say? That's what they say.
That's what they told me when I was a kid, but I don't know if I believe them.
Yeah, don't worry. Everything they said will turn out to be true. That's what you'll realize. Listeners may not know that I've got a couple of years on you. It's one of the things I'm realizing now.
Just
it's
a
like
few.
everything they said, Tom. Everything. From eat your vegetables to look both ways before you cross the street. Everything.
Hey, it's not that many years.
No. But I just mean, like, you just start to see it one day. It's like, holy shit. Oh, man. And one day you'll just sound like every other adult where it's really older, grown up.
Like you right now.
Yeah.
Like you right now.
Like an old man child.
Right.
Saying, damn it, if only I had listened to them then.
Fair enough.
That's a different show. This is not
That's the Wicked Theory podcast.
Yeah, well, that's the Wicked Therapy podcast, It sounds like. But that's where you can hear us sometimes. That's where we're from. The Wicked Theory podcast, that's our other show. That's the main show.
Yes, full of pop culture-y goodness.
Oh, boy, is it. And not safe for work, New York City-ness, too.
Yes.
So if you like this and you want to hear, like...
Uncaged. Uncaged, like, totally... explicit version.
Explicits. Lots of explicits.
Go over there. Every Saturday night.
Yeah.
7 p.m. Eastern. Mixler.com. MXLR.
MIXLR.
MIXLR.com.
/wicked-theory.
And if you have a fucking smartphone,
Whoa.
which you fucking should,
I mean, these days, you'd be
download
silly.
the app.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier.
Even I can do it now.
Right. Bill just got a smartphone.
I am a newly convert. I had 3 podcasts and a website.
Going for at least 2+ years each.
You know what I mean? An iPad and a MacBook, but a flip phone. Until what was that, like 4 months ago, 5 months ago? I broke the seal. And that's it. That's Getting to Know Us corner. I guess we'll call that segment.
We'll bring it back next week, I
We'll
guess.
bring it next week. Next week we'll give them some other little sprinkle of the real us. So let's get the official business out of the way. You can hear us wherever you hear good podcasts that are given away for free. That's like Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You may have forgotten about that thing. It's on your phone. It's on every Apple product. Gosh darn it. Is that dang purple little square that you probably tucked away in a folder somewhere on your thing because you were like, I don't know what that is.
Most likely.
But a year ago, you were like, I don't know. Or if you're on your iPhone 4 still, that's probably, like, if I had gotten an iPhone years ago, I'd still have like the second iPhone. Well, maybe it would have broke on me.
My
probably.
mom still has the iPhone 4.
Oh,
She
classic.
Never made the switch.
It's classic. I'm surprised it's not giving her tons of trouble, to be honest with you. But that's a whole different thing. So if people want to send us emails, they can. You can send a PvP at Wicked Theory. You can follow us on Twitter. You're at Dom_Tory.
That is correct.
TORRE. I'm at Wicked Theory. And the show is at Preach vs. Preach. And I don't think we got any emails this week, to be honest with you.
Okay.
All right? So I'm just putting that out there.
All right.
But you can also leave us a voicemail if you want.
That might be due to the quality of the episode.
Maybe.
In comparison to the rest?
Oof, yeah. Well, there might be that.
We'll say it's that.
If people want to, they can also leave a voicemail. If you go to wickedtheory.com, there's a red tab on the side, and it pops out. And if you have a microphone hooked up to whatever you're viewing that on, like a phone, it has it built in. But if you're on your PC, and I don't know if you got one hooked up or not, is all I'm saying. But you can leave us like a 90-second voicemail, and we will play that on the show. And whatever you want to say, we'll deal with. Well, if it's a problem, we'll take umbrage.
Keep it rated R, right, folks?
Yeah, let's keep it sassy.
Keep it rated R, right? We don't want no fucking PG shit out here.
You know what?
We want rated R
You know what?
material.
Entertain us a little bit.
Please.
Let's bring it up a little bit. Spruce up the place, huh?
About time.
So this episode, indeed, is called Tom Brady.
Tom/Brady.
Tom/Brady. We'll get to that. People, it's season 3. We hope you've read the books by now. This is the thing we say all the time. That's what this show is about. It started as like a book club, for lack of a better term, and here we are now. But the hope is that you've read this stuff. We're going to jump around. The show jumps around in the whole series, where these stories come from. So it's Spoilerville. That's where we hang out.
Most definitely.
And as we recap the episode, maybe there's not a lot of stuff in the books, but either way, our things that we kind of theorize about why the changes were made and where the show's going to go next. That's what we do.
That is.
That's our general approach. And with that, you'll hear this bell if it's from the book. There you go. And then, and maybe you'll hear a little bit of that if it's not.
Right.
But I don't know. Like
that's rare because that only comes out when there's something done that's
like really,
almost an atrocity.
Yeah, like we're really not sure about.
It's almost blasphemy.
Right. It's like a thing like we don't even want to give them time to undo it.
Right.
And we might have one of those this week.
We might.
I
think I know what you're talking about.
I think, I hope that you do. All right, so this one is called Tom/Brady, and it starts right where the last week left off, which is with Star and Jesse in the elevator, and they're in Grail headquarters or whatever.
In New Orleans.
The New Orleans chapter.
Correct.
And Allfather is there, and that's, Star just got finished telling Jesse, if you want to get out of this, we're going to make this work, you got to kill him. And so that's what he makes an attempt to do, to kind of keep it tight. To get right to it, he ends up in a crazy elevator fight that is pretty wild. It has some fun moments. It's got some cool stuff. It stops at one floor, and there's this guy from like some cheese company or something, I guess, that's in the building. And it looks like he got fired. He had all his stuff in a box. And then, it eventually ends up back at the top floor. Basically, what it all comes down to is that Jesse ends up shooting the Allfather. Turns out
right in the chest.
Right in the chest. Preview was correct, but I knew they were going to pull something on us.
Yeah, you were right. I was wrong.
Well, I didn't think, even still, when he shot him, I was like, oh, he's dead. I was like, oh, he's dead. Yeah. I was wrong. You know what I mean? So, like, as far as that goes, until all of a sudden he started breathing, I was like, oh, this fucking show. You know what I mean? So, it was a little too easy. But turns out that he doesn't die. But the one thing we did find out is that Allfather has Jesse's soul, but it's in his butt.
He keistered that shit.
Yeah, he boofed it, I think is another phrase for that too.
Yeah,
boofed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's some prison term.
Definitely.
Not that I've been there, but I know people who have. So, yeah, that's up his butt, and that's the highlight of the beginning of the episode, I guess. It's just immediately I was, because that's like said right before he wakes up. So immediately it's like, oh shit, we're gonna go there right now.
Right. And I was really hoping we would, because Star is like, from the book. Yeah. That type of character that would totally. Yeah. Have no problem searching a man's butthole.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't think it would depend on how bad he wanted a thing. I'll agree with you on that.
I think he wants this pretty bad though.
But I think he would make Jesse get it out. He'd be like, this Star anyway would be more like, well, you dig it out, Custer. I'm not, I don't need it. Right. You need it.
Fair enough.
Go get it. And I was ready for Jesse to roll up his sleeves. I thought they'd at least kind of do that joke. Right. All right, well, if it's up there, then I guess I got to do what the Texans got to do or some shit. Just get old school on it. Yeah. But he doesn't. I believe that, the whole thing there kind of ends with saying that he's got Genesis. He wakes up and it's like, oh, shit, he's not dead. And I forget exactly the context, but he's like, oh, but he has Genesis. And that's why because they recapture Jesse, right? I think is how that goes.
Yeah, well, they take him and then they bring that...
eventually that machine.
That table over, that standing table, and then they tie him up with the Tony Stark thing that they put on his chest.
Science!
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so we cut from that. We go to TC and Grandma real quick. It's a dream sequence thing that we learn We're gonna get there. We learn basically like Grandma's greatest fear is probably going to hell and having to confront all these souls that she's consumed is how that breaks down.
That's correct.
I will give people a tip off that on the AMC website. There's a Q&A with Grandma, the actress, and you get some insight into like kind of like stuff that's like unsaid but innuendoed and hinted at, and we're never going to get a clear picture. So that like for instance that dream, like that's how that's working. Like that's kind of like you can pick that up from the imagery and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it was a very clear kind of, and it's an actually interesting Q&A because she hits a lot of little stuff as far as her character goes, and it's like they've given her some background that's not in the book,
right?
And whether she's come up with it or it was like a thing like between her and maybe a couple of the creators on the show just to kind of flesh it out for her, give her a space of reference in her actor kind of mode, but basically the thing that we're excited about is that for a split second in that dream. You get Jesse with the red eyes.
You do.
And I know it's just a dream, but I want a bell. Thank you.
No, I think it's significant because I think it's a sign of what's to come. I think it's a pretty good sign of that we're going to get it. And
maybe
hopefully before the season's over.
Right, because, granted, it's just a dream, but it could be a little bit of a premonition thing. I mean, she's all magical and whatnot, and... it's a thing to tease the book readers with, and see if you get a reaction out of them.
Right.
And I got lost in the taking notes, and I meant to tweet out about it. It's not one of my greater moments. I really wanted to give a ballyhoo on that one. I think am I using that right? Ballyhoo?
I think so.
Okay, we'll go with it. That's what I like about you, kid. You just let me live in my own mistakes.
Speak gibberish.
Oh man, more of that. So that was kind of cool, and then she wakes up. And she makes a call. She picks up the old hell phone.
Right.
And so that was, basically sets the rest of the episode in motion as far as her storyline. So the next thing really is that we go to Cassidy. And he's with Icarus.
Right.
Icarius. Eric. Whatever.
I think we'll just
That's what I want.
I think we'll just call him Eric from here on out.
That's right. Eric the vampire. That's what I want. I want like him to just drop the whole facade and be like, "Hi, yeah, I'm Eric. I'm from like Massachusetts," and just drop the whole thing. He'd be like, "I fucking knew it." So they're in a cab, and all I could think, this is what I tweeted, is that like, okay, you guys can fly.
Yeah.
And why are you in a cab?
Right.
You know what I mean? But from watching the extras on AMC, they had behind the scenes on this, like they do every episode, and in that they had a little bit where they were talking to that actor. And speaking of clarity, so he's a vampire eating vampires. That's why he's got extra powers that Cassidy doesn't.
Right.
So,
and we find that out towards the end of the episode.
Towards the end of the episode. But it's like, hearing him say it kind of like in a very clearer kind of like that's, 1 + 1 is 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of a thing. So it does make me wonder if maybe they were taking the cab because, he hadn't eaten somebody in a while and didn't really have,
possibly.
Wasn't up to power.
That's possible.
His flight power levels weren't all the way up.
I didn't think
and he
about
probably might have talked Cassidy into it, like, "Oh, honey, darling, love, my new babe. Let's just take a cab." You know what I mean? It's more romantic or some shit. That Uber. So they're in there, but it turns out Hoover's the driver. And so for a second there, you're like, "Oh shit's gonna get crazy."
Yeah.
But we go to Satan. Basically, he's ringing the doorbell. He's at Grandma's house.
Yeah, and he really was ringing that doorbell like a dick. I mean,
well,
it's not unexpected,
right?
But I mean, still have a little fucking respect.
I mean, it's not out of character. It's firmly in character. But really, what he probably should have been doing is like ringing and banging on the door at the same time, kind of like a 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, something really obnoxious. Yeah. But he might be like the standout character for me this season.
I absolutely agree with that. Him and TC are the two standouts for me this year.
Yeah, he's just fucking, I don't know, I like it. You know what I mean? He's not overdoing it. Like, he's doing it just enough as far as being like schmaltzy or like a little too cool kind of thing. Like, hey man, like this is, but he's not doing that too much. It's just the right amount. So it's not obnoxious yet. Like,
and there's also so much makeup on him that it's like kind of hard to tell that there's an actual human inside there.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's really well done.
It's fucking crazy. So with that, he pops up, and they have a conversation where they've known each other. They go way back, and it's a little weird, right? Trying to figure out the connection on them, but they have some kind of deal worked out. But in that interview, this is what I was mentioning about her talking about details that she has behind the scenes that aren't in the story, really. Like, they were lovers or some shit. Like, they've crossed paths, and, like, she managed to kind of get away from him. But one of the things that she picked up while they were together was this way to consume souls and then live longer. And the only reason, like, he gave that to her was because, like, in the end, then I'm going to, like, you're definitely coming straight to hell. Like, it's my way of guaranteeing your soul is mine later, like, kind of thing. Like, I'll give you anything if I can just guarantee that I'll get a soul. Like, so it's an interesting thing. She goes, not that she goes, like, much deeper on it, but she explains it for a good amount in the Q&A. So it was an interesting little thing for me to read before the show and to be like, oh, okay.
I'll have to check that out.
Because it hinted at, like, I didn't think it was, like, necessarily romantic. Because I just figure him as a little bit of a, he's charming. He could come off flirty if you're not reading it right. So now I kind of do catch that it's a little bit more of like, hey, what's up, old pal? Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe
like,
not,
we
maybe...
used to shag, you know what I mean? It's got a little bit of like this winky thing, kind of like, oh. Like, I just thought it was like, we just know each other.
Right.
But maybe he's looking to get a little bit.
It's possible.
Well, I don't know. He's into some weird shit. Well, hey, so, he's Satan.
He's one of the only people on the show that's older than her.
That's true. So basically, she's going to tip him off about Genesis. She knows about Genesis at this point, and they kind of leave you on a hanger with that. Like, I got some secrets to tell you. But we jump to Osaka. That's Japan, for those who aren't paying attention at home. And we get this really kind of pointless scene where it's Tulip, they're all in the van. Tulip puts a piece of gum in her mouth, and it's like, yeah, it has a little bit to do later on, but it's just a moment to kind of fill a little bit of time. Because then you cut right to them walking in, and it's a slow-mo walk-in, and then that's it. It goes to commercial. So it's just like, just establishing that they're there, right. I guess. So we basically jump back. When we come back, we go to that All-Father now has strapped Jesse to the machine. And while he's vomiting, that gives Jesse time with Hair Star to like kind of like talk about like, well, how am I getting out of this? What are we gonna do? And he's like, oh, I slipped a gun in your jacket, which I didn't realize he was that good. I didn't know he was David Blaine.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, come on, man, you're gonna be the Messiah. You gotta know what's in your jacket. I think that Glock that was in your pocket might fucking be a little heavier than. A feather, you might feel it.
Especially because he also says it has a silencer.
Right.
Like, so it's like...
Yeah, that adds at least 2 pounds onto that. I don't know guns, but I don't know. It's probably not that much.
I'm not sure about metal and dead weight, but I'm going to agree with you. Yeah. So he's got that going on for him. But basically what we find out is that Allfather's got a plan. It's some more pseudoscience. Yeah. Some shady, there's no government regulation on this.
Now let's ring the anti-bell real quick.
Okay, all right, we'll give it a little buzzer
because
that's how you're feeling about it.
As much as I think this is an interesting play and it gives the All-Father something to do and it's funny, the All-Father is always one step behind Star in the book, and Star's plan is to never be derailed. As far as the book is concerned. Right. And
but it is
I feel like this takes away a little bit from Star because it doesn't I feel like it plays up his goofiness and downplays his
effectiveness.
Exactly.
How like much of a strategist he can be. Right. Like, you know what I mean? What is consistent is the fact that like he's hesitant to kill the All-Father yet. Because that's kind of like a thing that happens in the book. He's like, he's just got too much power. Like, if I take him out right now, then all these other underlings that do serve to him will be on me. Right. And I don't know if I can pull that off yet. But it is a thing that kind of plays in that wheelhouse. So I get it. Yeah, I'm not big on it, really. But I was more, like, I'm giving it the buzzer in this scene here. I feel like we found a whole new angle just at the end of this run. I'm giving it the buzzer for just in general of the whole like I'm not big on the whole, like, let's just make it a thing where we can just take out Genesis whenever we want to, because it serves to a cool story idea or something like that. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, okay, we took a piece of Jesse's soul to weaken it, or Jesse's connection to it, and then it's still in there. But it's just, like, it's a little too convenient. It makes me worry about, like, the future and, like, how we'll find random ways to negate it again or put it somewhere else or have it leave him. And, like, is that going to be the thing where, like, it's going to be a chase of turning his power on for a while, turning it off for a while? Like, I feel like after this season, like, the next time he gets it back, like that's got to be it.
I agree.
With this kind of shenanigans. Or you got to wait till, like, the last season maybe to do something with it again.
Right.
But you got to put it off for a while.
Completely.
Because that's what old school TV shows used to do. Like, here's this thing, but because it's like it's too powerful, or it's gonna impede our ability to kind of do, like, it gives a hero too much power, the show would be over already, kind of stuff, that they always find a way to nerf it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that could just be how it translates to the medium, but I don't really know why they'd be afraid to use Genesis when that's the core of the book, and
but I think
that's what the book's about.
Well, we've covered it a little bit, where it's like a thing where I get where they're coming from, because even when you're reading the book, it's a little bit of like I know he's got a bug up his butt about not using it much, but like you should really be using it right now. So every now and then, well, here's the thing too that they do in the book. At one point, he gets so wrapped up in just punching some dudes out that Tulip's like, why didn't you just use the word? And he's like, I fucking totally forgot about that.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's a funny moment. It's a beat. It's like he looks right at the panel. He's like, I fucking plumb forgot about that shit. Damn it, next time. Like, it's one of these. So
yeah, well, to me,
you can find ways to work around it besides turning it off.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. But to me, and we'll get to this later actually, but the draw to Jesse for Genesis is his good and bad side.
Right.
And him being able to control Genesis and have the discretion to use it when he wants to and when he doesn't want to, I think plays on that.
Yeah.
Like it plays on his good side.
Right.
Whereas he knows when to use it and when not to.
It should be used as a thing. Like,
because if Genesis wouldn't pick someone that would just use it willy-nilly constantly.
Right. Right. And if it was used like let's say this show was much more serious or something, like it was like that show, like it was a little more like ultra serious, too serious for us even maybe, like it would be a thing where like, oh, you could use this to reflect more about him as a character. Right. And like, well, why is he's using it like a bad guy would use it, but why does he feel justified? Like you can make it all these kinds of little but this show's not at that kind of speed. Although I think like it wanted to be that at a certain point, like in season 1, I think like there was a little bit of like, that's where this show could have went. Yeah. I'm kind of glad it kind of ended up where it's at. Yeah. But I'm getting off the track. So basically this whole science is all about sticking it into Humperdoo, right? Which I'm just gonna say, fucking better not happen. Like that's like let's not end the season there. You know what I mean? Somehow, like if it ends up in him next week, like it's got to come out of him before the season ends, because I'm gonna be like, you fucking guys, you were so close.
Yeah, no, I mean this season would be just absolutely destroyed with all the progress they've made if they don't end the season with Jesse having Genesis. Yeah. I don't even care if it's in the last episode where he finally gets it. As long as it's in him at the end of the season, I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Maybe if it's even in him still and he doesn't have his soul yet. Like I hate that MacGuffin too, that aspect of it. But I want that wrapped up. But just leave it in him. Because now you got me so worried about this, I'm willing to forgo the other thing I hate. Like, you know what I mean? So basically, they start bringing out the clones, and they're just trying it over and over again because it doesn't work in Humperdoo. It explodes. Humperdoo is not the right 50-50 split or whatever. Like, it just won't last in him. And so, as we'll see later on, they keep bringing these people back. But we jump to Osaka, and basically this whole shtick where this over-elaborate kind of thing that was just kind of like a funny setup to get the badge, to get the worker employee badge at the building where they're doing sexual harassment training seminar, kind of like in a little auditorium. which was funny when it started because it's like, what are they even like? What is the angle on this? Because it just starts right in the middle of like really bad acting from the two of them, which was kind of fun and funny on its own. But it was definitely a whole plot thing that just kind of like it just goes too long. I mean, it doesn't die in the middle. I'm not saying it falls apart, but it's just like overall length. I'm like, all right, we really didn't need that.
Yeah, that's how I feel about all of the Osaka stuff in this episode, to be quite honest. It felt a little too drawn out for me, and I feel like we could have gotten in and out of Osaka with, I think we could have done it in one scene, but hey, if you want to make it two, then I'll give you that.
Well, I'll tell you.
To keep going back to them throughout the course of the episode, to me, felt a little bit like it was a filler.
Yeah, it helped fill out the episode. Because not for nothing, like when Grandma has that dream and she wakes up within the dream, like they're already back from the trip.
And Featherstone's dead.
And until you see Featherstone, like you don't realize, that's when you start to realize, oh, this is definitely a dream. Mm-hmm. But like when they were back for that split second, I'm like, oh, we're going to do this? Like we don't even see Osaka?
I was fine with that.
And I was like, that felt in place with what the show does. And so I was kind of like, okay, I guess we're just not gonna. I immediately just was just kind of, all right, moving along, So, to have them do that, I wouldn't have been objected to it,
To me, the more time we spend on Jesse's storyline and the main storyline, the better to me.
Sure.
So.
No, I agree. Especially, or if if you were doing something a little bit more compelling in Osaka, because they kind of do a couple of goofs, they do the job, and then we're out. So it's almost like it was just a little rompish kind of thing. Yeah. It felt kind of a little bit more like season 2. So basically, they do the seminar, and then they get the badge, and she says it was all about just, I want to, make you squeeze that guy's ass, which is silly. But Tulip calls him a lip dick, which is nice. So that's all so they can get the security card. Satan returns to hell, and he's made his deal with Grandma, whatever that exact details may be. But he tells the angel of death to bring him Tulip O'Hare because Grandma's got a bug up her butt about her. And at the very least feels like, well, with her out of the way, you know what I mean? I'll have a direct line to Jesse.
Correct.
And he's just kind of hating on her in general. This bitch tried to kill me. And so, I got to take her out before she takes me out.
Well, she poses the biggest threat.
Yeah.
As far as Grandma's concerned, she feels that she poses the biggest threat to her goal.
Yeah.
Because she's what's going to take Jesse away from Angel.
Right. Which is, to me, seems counterintuitive, because if Grandma knows like what a smart and resourceful guy Jesse is, kind of, but also like, well, he just walked in here and just shot that Boyd girl like nothing. He might be kind of crazy too, and killing his girlfriend for real this time, like, I don't think that's going to make him want to follow your directions any more. So I think it's a little bit of a flawed logic thing for Grandma.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's kind of the same logic that's in the book, though, to a certain extent.
It's true. So. Like, he loves me, and I'll make him, and I got the power over him, but she's misinformed on that shit. So they do that, and then we go back to Humperdoo, and it's just the Humperdoo sequence over and over and over and over and over. But we get to meet Dr. Slotnick, and we get this whole DNA theory thing. That's what they're doing. They're doing hybrid DNA samples from good people and bad people.
Now, before we go any further, let me just make a little point about the Genesis coming in and out.
Slide right in. Yeah.
Coming in and out of Jesse.
In and out.
As far as I remember, in season 1, when Genesis first takes Jesse's body, he's kind of knocked out for a little while.
Yeah, it didn't seem like an easy thing.
So for that to be continually happening to him over and over and over again,
I feel like he
should have just died.
Maybe this is how Satan got his abs.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? It's like some kind of like isometrics kind of workout.
It's a core exercise.
Yeah, some core stuff.
Correct.
Got some core. What's that exercise everybody does? Pilates?
Sit-ups?
Well, I mean, that's all you need. With Satan, that's what he does. Yes, that's kind of the way I felt about it too. It was a little, like, I get the bit, but we're kind of like pushing stuff to the side a little bit to get to the bit. Which is just, that's the kind of show this is going to be sometimes, I guess. It's just going to push logic over a little bit. Hey, it is what it is. So the DNA therapy, obviously it's pushing logic a little bit. And I think there was more going on with those combinations where they wanted you to be like, wait a minute, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy in that combo kind of thing, which was an interesting play on it. You know what I mean? But we come back to that later. So we then jump to Star and Cassidy. Because at a point there, like Star is like talking with Jesse and trying to figure out what to do still, but Star gets a call, and I think at the same time, Allfather asks him to go get something or whatever.
Yes,
but allows him to go out to the hall and have this text exchange with Cassidy and Icarus, Eric. Down in New Orleans about Hoover, because now they got Hoover tied up in a chair.
Right.
And it's actually kind of funny where it's just like, he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, this was well done.
He's like, well, no, we got your man. We'll really kill him. He's like, that's fine.
Right.
And it was like, wow, and the texts were perfectly, like, just so perfectly starred. Like, you could just hear him saying it almost. You know what I mean? That's fine. Kill him. I don't care.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He's a waste of space anyway. And so, like, and the funny thing is, like, Hoover's got some stupid hope in his head that like he was gonna be upset.
Well, yeah, that's always the bit with Featherstone and Hoover in the comic that they just really idolize Star.
Yeah,
and they see him. They see a redeemable part in him.
Yeah.
And it's almost a little silly at points.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely their comical angle, and even more so with Featherstone because she's so gaga in love with him all the time. Or at a certain point, it flips. I think at first it's not right there, but like at a certain point, like she just becomes smitten. I mean, we're there in the show already, but it's over the top in the book. So they have that funny exchange back and forth. And so basically, Cass and the gang just kind of come to the decision, like, all right, we'll kill him. Like, what do you want to do? Like, how you want to do it? Like, what's the plan? Like, how you want? There's so many options, and it's like bees. And he's like, no, bees? And the kid's like, yeah, bees. He's like, where are we going to get bees? Like, do you have a beehive? The kid's like, yeah. He's like, oh, bees it is then.
He's like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Fucking do the worker man. That's all. Fucking. And so that's how that scene kind of wraps up. We go back to Osaka. It's Tulip and Featherstone in the room. It's this whole sequence, their whole heist sequence with Jody taking out the security guys in the other room so they don't have to worry about the cameras. And then they start to work on the door to the safe. Back to Cassidy. Hoover's on the table. I don't want to die. My mom. He says something about his mom. I forget what the line was. I didn't write it down. I just wrote my mom. I guess I meant to finish that. Or what will my mother think? Or something like that, which I thought was funny. But at this point, it turns into, I think, why don't we make him a vampire?
Right.
And
that's a Carrie's idea.
Yeah. And well, now that we know that he just, he needs that, he's looking for another hit.
Right.
Is really what's coming from him.
Exactly.
But I mean, in general, I was like, all right, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And then they do that.
Like, let's hear it, folks.
I might have to turn up the volume on that one. I'm feeling like a little bit like that. I mean, we'll jump to the end of this storyline real quick, just to get us there. That like it was one of those things where I'm like, oh shit, they did it. Like he's got fangs. Like you can't undo this. Like you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so I started to think about it, and I'm like, all right, like it does add a funny element, like him trying to like maybe keep it a secret from the Grail, and then like Featherstone will be in on it, and they'll both be trying to keep it a secret from Star, and then like Star will kind of find out, try to probably use it to his advantage somehow. So I can see it kind of being a thing that like they're in it for the long haul, unless they kill him off.
Now,
but it does pose an interesting question about something from the books.
Correct, but what you were just alluding to is kind of hinted at.
Okay.
In the scene where Cassidy says, he's going through the whole spiel that they do, like the induction speech that he has, and he says, are you willing to, cast away the sun or whatever?
Right.
And he says, oh, no sun at all? Like no beaches?
Yeah.
Nothing like that?
No beaches? Nothing
and
like that?
he says no beaches.
Right, no beaches.
If you've read the book, you know exactly.
Yeah. and
what
he
that's
says something
playing
about like an umbrella, like you have an umbrella, you'll probably be all right. Like even if your hands peek out from underneath it. Which if he didn't say that, but there was this beat where it's like he says something about the umbrella, and then like he looks at him, and I think as the audience we're supposed to be like, yeah, we know about the umbrella not really being like a loose fix for your vamp, you know. But so. I was talking about this with Palmer because Palmer calls me after the shows now and he's like, what did you think? Like we kind of talk about it a little bit. And I was saying to him that, as far as the whole counting the grains of sand, what is interesting is that like in the book, it's like when you come back to him, like all this time later and he's sitting there and he's wasted away, it is like, well, like I don't want to throw logic in here, but if the guy, like he's just sat there and like he's like hasn't eaten or anything, is just starving. But if it happens now and he's a vampire,
right?
Like it makes more sense that he would just be able to sit there the whole time and literally count thousands of grains of sand.
Right.
So if that's maybe kind of like an added bonus that they've considered in the process of like thinking this through, then okay, maybe like, they leave him there and Cassidy runs back and throws him an umbrella or something. You're going to need this in the morning, mate. Like, something like that. But, I just wonder though, if they will do it like that, where like, at the very least, like they'll have that happen to him at the beginning of a season, and like we don't see Hoover for like the whole season.
I think since he said the line about beaches, it's going to happen.
Because they do seem to be doing that a bit, like telegraphing some things a little bit with the show, right? All right, cool. So with that, they do the whole thing there. I wrote down flying troubles.
Well, Icarius and Cassidy have a quick conversation about Cassidy's coming to Icarius, like, why he tries to fly off the steps, and he's like, why can't I do this?
Right.
He basically tells him, in due time, young Padawan.
Oh, you were doing good. He's like, you're practically helping me the whole time.
Yeah,
right. And lo and behold, it's just because he's got the extra juice.
Correct.
So back to Osaka, they're done. And then, like, as Jody's wrapping up, he gets a call from Grandma, which is basically, I think, giving him some kind of tip-off. But the Angel of Death pops up on the plane.
Yep.
And
she pops up, actually, in the building
of
the Soul Happy Go-Go place.
Oh, right.
That Japanese fella comes up to her, and he says something along the lines of, excuse me, ma'am, I don't usually do this, but that butt, I just want to grab it, or something like that.
Some Japanese perv thing.
And I wonder if he was sitting in on that sexual harassment meeting, and that's where he got that from.
Right.
I would love to go back and look at that guy and see if he's
the guy from that demonstration scene, right? Like if he's the one who was on stage. I think he's supposed to be. You know what? I don't think I caught it in time, but I think you're right. I wouldn't. It have to be.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine them not making that all tie together.
Right.
Okay. So, but yeah, she does that. But basically what happens is that we come to a whole thing where the Angel of Death does pop up on the plane, and Tulip's like, nah, I'm not Tulip, because Angel of Death just gets where it's got to go by asking, has anybody seen Tulip? Like, I don't know what she looks like.
Right.
But when Satan does send her out, she's like, bring me back Tulip O'Hare. And she's like, what's Tulip O'Hare? And he's like, it's a who. So they drop in that there's some ineptitude there of a certain level. You know what I mean?
She's
not
almost
informed.
like a machine.
Yeah, she's not informed. You need to give her everything, I guess. But basically what happens is that she convinces the Angel of Death, oh, you're looking for a short-haired Grail employee. That's one right there. And I guess that's all... doesn't believe her, then when I guess Featherstone's like, I'm not Tulip O'Hare. But again, conveniently, we jump ahead past that.
But to be fair to the show, I think Tulip's a little bit more of a convincing character.
Liar,
than Featherstone would be.
Sure.
So let's go with that.
Okay, we'll go with that. But either way, they jump ahead, and now she's back in the truck, and she's like, oh, shit, I got the wrong briefcase. Featherstone's got the briefcase. With the souls in it. So we go back to Cassidy and Hoover, who's getting the send-off. Cassidy comes up on him and up on the window.
Actually, let me just go back a second.
Yeah, go back.
Now, now that the Angel of Death has Featherstone and, in turn has all the souls that they got,
right?
Why is this an issue? If the case of souls is just going right back down to hell with Satan and Grandma and Satan are buddy, he could just send those things right back up UPS style.
Satan could.
Right.
Yeah, but...
Why wouldn't he just send those back up to Miss Marie?
Well, he would, but Tulip's got to get them. I mean, they're only an issue because Tulip's got to get them so that, like, they have that leverage. It's like, that Satan's on Grandma's team, so if Grandma's team gets the ball...
Right,
like,
okay, fair enough.
It's like that kind of a thing. Like,
right,
we got to make sure we have that, so we have a bargaining chip.
Correct.
So, Hoover's getting a send-off.
Fly.
And they gives him an umbrella as like, hey mate, you're gonna need this,
The umbrella hat.
And that's why I thought about the umbrella eventually on the beach. There'll be someone will run back and give it to him or something, or he'll have one, or we'll when we come back to him, he'll have one then, like kind of a thing.
Well, he'll be wearing it probably.
Yeah, there you go. He'll have like a small little stupid beanie with the umbrella on it. So Cassidy comes up on the car, and he's like, "Hey, what's up? What's up with this, yo? Is this your new man? You're hooking up with him now?"
But prior to that,
well, not quite.
Prior to that, he finds the neck pillow that was in the garbage.
That's right.
Was a really lazy move by Icarius.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly.
Yeah, and I gotta love TV blood. It stays red forever. Never turns brown. Don't want anybody to think it's poop, I guess, is the idea. He finds that, and that's the tip-off. So he goes back over there. He starts knocking on the window. And in this kind of like flurry, bang, Hoover's out. Hoover's gone. So we're definitely not wrapping up the Hoover thing anytime soon. And just to put the button on it, if you know of a way, dear listener, to undo a vampire thing that we're not thinking of, let us know. Like, is there a way? Am I missing that in the folklore?
Just let Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg know.
Yeah, right.
Just let those guys know so that they could fix what they've done.
Yeah, maybe they can undo it next season somehow. Or then again, it's this kind of show. Who's to say the Grail doesn't have something in a book somewhere?
It's possible.
You know what I mean? You just got to sprinkle like cat guts on him or something, some stupid thing. But we can hope for that. So the next scene is back to Jesse, and we get the Tom Brady. Finally, which is Wayne Brady and Tom.
No, it's Thomas Jefferson Tom Brady.
And no, Thomas Jefferson and Wayne Brady.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and that's why it's one of those like, wait, who is the bad guy?
Because I thought they were going with Tom Brady was the bad guy, and,
right?
And TJ was the good
But then
guy.
the two of those names make up a new name, so like to have Tom be the first name on it at all.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So and they're gonna bring out the actual Humperdoo. So even this final one where it sticks.
And he makes the All-Father and Jesse bow.
Right.
He uses the word on them.
And immediately the doctor puts a bullet in his head because he was still a clone. But now we know we have the right mix. So bringing the actual Humperdoo.
Next week.
And we're going to put it in him now. Cliffhanger.
But don't forget that when they kill the clone Humperdoo,
right,
Genesis goes right back into Jesse.
Right.
So don't rule out Jesse being able to somehow
get out of this
situation because of that.
And I think that's key. I think that's their key thing, is that like it's all poised up, that it's going to go smoothly. And if it was the finale being teed up, I'd be like, oh, we're in a bad place.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to stay in there. You know what I mean? But we got 2 episodes to go. It could be rectified by the end of next week, and they're all on their way back to Grandma's house. And I do feel like to get the real big epic kind of wrap up, like that the book does at this point, like there's a lot to kind of like tie a bow on.
Yeah.
Between this week and next, and I wonder how like cathartic it's going to end up feeling at the end of the season. But we'll see. And then in the last scene, which is going to help bring everybody together, is that there's a bus stop. This happens to be one of those hell bus stops, and this is where Santa Killers, Arseface, and Hilter have been strolling to. And
what do you know? I guess the Angel of Death was checking the MTA website. She knew that the bus was being picked up.
I'm sure it's the HTA.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
The Hellicious Transit Authority.
There you go.
which is the same as the MTA.
Right. But during the scene, something happened that really threw me off.
Hit me with it.
And Hitler asks Featherstone if she happens to have a cell phone.
Right.
And he makes a call.
Right.
Now, why in the fuck would Saint of Killers allow for that to happen?
Well, he doesn't know what a phone is, right? I mean, that's the way out, is to be like, oh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with phones.
Fair enough. But if he was standing there talking to his Unite the Right buddy,
you'd think he would just smack whatever, he's got out of his hand, or tell him to shut up, don't talk to nobody.
But hey.
But we got to leave it a little loose. But what happens with that? He just dials out and we don't see.
Well, he calls the guy from last week.
Right. He calls it right. Yes, he calls the guy from last week behind the circuit town or whatever.
Now I don't know if you caught it, but while he's picking up I watched the scene twice actually. The shot kind of shows you his left wrist while he's answering the phone.
No way.
And he's got a swastika tattooed.
Oh, he does? I missed it.
And I don't know if you watch the episodes with closed captioning.
No, I don't.
But there's a radio show on.
Okay.
And I'm not exactly sure who it is, but it has to be real.
Okay.
And it's like this whole thing about Trump and how like people are out to get right wingers and this and that.
Conservative radio talk.
And,
I got you. And that I kind of caught. I kind of caught the radio going on.
Yeah. And he says something about our president, this and that.
Right.
So I found that.
And
quite funny.
What's funny too? Like he does this thing where like, it's like over his shoulder and he turns into the camera. I forget exactly what he says. Oh, he's like, oh, they got Hilter.
They got Hilter, yeah.
They got Hilter. But I can't tell if he's supposed to look like Bill Hicks, because that's in the comic, and they haven't really hit Bill Hicks yet. And people are always like, oh, they're going to do that at all? And I think that's going to be hard. Or like a young Alex Jones. It was like a weird thing of like, I saw both of those people like in this dude's face.
It's possible.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I think they might have been pulling a little bit of a young Alex Jones in. But either way, so that makes me nervous because anything that starts to tee up a couple of storylines continuing longer than I'd like.
With Hitler?
Yeah. It specifically makes me a little nervous because
I kind of
anything that hints at him getting saved from.
No, I totally agree with that.
So even in the preview, what we could talk about is that next week's episode is called Schwarzkopf, and I looked it up and I thought it was a tank, but then I was like, no, wait, like Norman Schwarzkopf is like the most like blatant reference it could mean, but it could mean anything. Because on this show, it could just be like a fighting maneuver or some shit or anything.
I mean, who the fuck expected the Tom/Brady to
be that
DNA?
You know, but it's definitely a thing where, you know, when you look through the list of like Schwarzkopf, like what the reference could mean for anything, it's a lot of people through history and stuff like that, but there's nothing that really stands out.
Okay.
So maybe it's a reference somehow to Norman Schwarzkopf, the Gulf War. Maybe there's a flashback that plays some kind of importance somehow. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe it's a thing where like it's a joke because it's like, oh, you went in without an exit strategy. I mean, that would kind of be like be more of a George Bush.
Right.
But I don't know. Who knows? So.
I guess we'll find out next week.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out next week. But in the trailer, we saw that the whole bus goes topsy-turvy. So they all end up in it. But it's going to be chaos of its own, which will be quite the romp, I'm sure, of some kind.
And I wonder how much time we're going to spend on them next week, because I have a bad feeling that the majority of the episode might be focused around that crew.
Yeah, it might, because I think to make all those points kind of line up.
Yeah, I just don't know how else they could bookend the season without spending some time on that.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is too? It's like they found a way to kind of put everybody together now going into the penultimate so that it's like, okay, at least they're all together. It's less storylines to worry about, because then in the end, all you got to do is figure out, are we getting Cassidy back together with them in time for the finale? Or, because I don't like the idea of that. I kind of like the idea of maybe more of leaving him there.
Correct.
Because there's still other stuff that they could do down in Louisiana with him. But I wonder if we'll get to that, or if we'll just kind of transplant that stuff to another location.
Right.
And we never got the stuff in the graveyard with the snake and all that, but that takes place afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like when they kind of head back there for some shit.
That's exactly what happens.
So who knows?
Well, if I remember correctly, Jesse intentionally goes down there for that reason.
Yeah.
To see the voodoo guy.
Right. And, as much as the promo for this season for AMC has, like, the big snake wrapped around the three of them, like, they didn't do the big snake.
Right.
So, who knows? You know what I mean?
Anything could happen at
Anything
this
could
point.
happen. They seem to be, like, the roadmap seems to be a little bit more linear. And like, whereas in the book, they bounce around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we'll see. But, yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up my notes.
All right.
But we can definitely, from here, talk a little bit about, people on the internet and some of those people real quick, because
what the fuck do they have to say?
well, they got things. They got things they want to say. So that's to two. No. That's not to us. That's to somebody else. What is this? Oh, it's a Jesse action figure. Yeah, I'll pass on.
Bill is scrolling through his Twitter feed right
Yeah.
now, trying to find his
Some people,
mentions.
some people are into the whole holy the vampire Hoover,
Okay.
the Hoovpire. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out. If you have a good suggestion for a way to rename him, please let us know. I really don't have a lot in here. I thought I had some more in here. So predicting the season ends, our buddy Agent Palmer says, all right, so now I see it like the devil grabs Tulip, and then that's the moment for God to step in and kind of give her like another moment of, I'm saving your ass again kind of thing. Because we haven't seen any of that in a few episodes.
Yep.
And that seemed like something they were going to continually touch on. And that's not something to dismiss outright just yet.
I think we're definitely going to see him again this season.
Yeah.
Now, that actually brings in an interesting, like, power dynamic.
Okay.
Because I don't know if in the book they really specify who's more powerful, because they really never cross paths,
Right.
God and Satan.
Right.
So I'm going to assume God's more powerful, but who really knows,
Yeah, I do wonder if they're going to even do the thing now where Santa Claus kills the devil. And because it's like, oh, if we're going to bring the devil into the mix at the end of the season. But it would be interesting to watch all these storylines kind of wrap up. Like, because that's like Jesse and Tulip. Don't worry, once we're done with this, we're going to kill all three of them. And then if, Satan manages to kill, Santa Claus manages to kill Satan. I'm like, I can't imagine though, but I'm going to get everything I want in a nice little bow.
Right.
Like, Hitler's going to be back in hell, never to be seen again.
Right.
Satan's dead. Don't have to worry about that. That's a cool little
Angelville
element.
goes up in flames.
Right. Angelville goes up in flames. They are all dead. Jody gets the 2x4 across the side of his head with the nail in it, and then pulls it out.
Right.
I want that because that's a cool moment. And I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, I guess maybe, you know what? We didn't get the whole backstory on the lighter, right? But I was thinking, there's this whole other backstory they do with the lighter, which is all about Jesse running into one of his dad's war buddies.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if
that's where he actually gets the lighter, I think.
Well,
right?
that's where he gets the backstory on it.
I'm wrong.
That's where he gets like the backstory on it. So I'm wondering if they're just kind of like, you know what? We don't have a lot of time. We'll kind of package all that together later on a little bit, and it'll explain what the lighter's relevance is when we have a way to kind of delve into the father more or something. So maybe that's what the plan is there. Because I was like, because I was very worried about like we weren't gonna really get much breakdown on it,
right?
Or just show how much it means to him. Like, let it be like the watch in Pulp Fiction, where it's like, he goes out of his way to retrieve it somehow, or like he drops it down a grate,
right,
or whatever. But really didn't get a lot of that. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I don't think I really got a whole lot of other stuff. I have been kind of tagged on a bunch of tweets from a person named Aurora, who is rereading the books. and kind of was going through a thing where kind of forgot how much fun the books were. And so kind of getting some tweets tagged on where it's literally they're going oh geez, that was a crazy thing with Jesus Assad, Cassidy, like I'm there in the room, you know what I mean? It's very kind of I have to know exactly what they're talking about.
Okay.
But mentions that the All-Father and how the All-Father dies in the book nice and quickly, which was an A+ landing, which would be interesting to see if they actually follow through here. And then old buddy James B. Ham, actually made a great point about the beginning of the episode where it was about that Jesse pulled the same mistake Thor had, which is take the headshot.
That's true.
Nothing better than a headshot. And I think that's it. I'm kind of skimming over it. Not really tagged in anything else, and I don't think I see much here in the way of commentary. I really didn't put out a request for comments. I should have. That worked out well last week. All right. Well, so there was some preview photos for next week. Dom, show me one now with the Angel of Death's got the whip around Featherstone's neck.
And it looks like she's arguing with Tulip.
And they're on the bus stop.
Yeah.
So it's a very innocuous kind of thing, and we know they get on the bus, so.
But it looks like Tulip shows up there, obviously.
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
With Jody, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they catch up just in time, I guess. But since they're all on the bus when it starts flipping, it looks like. Well, maybe not Tulip. Maybe Tulip makes a bargain, manages to. Oh, here's the thing. She's got the whip around her neck, so she can't really talk, I bet. She can't. She can't get a word out.
Okay.
So Tulip gets the upper hand on the situation. His manager look, take her, do what you want. I just need the briefcases.
Right.
I just need to make a switch. It's all right with you, and just kill her with a Southern charm.
Fair enough.
But I'm guessing that's kind of gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah, pick
Bill.
it, baby, pick it.
And
sorry,
right.
I didn't mean to throw you off.
Okay, so
yeah.
I really just wanted to ask you what
my thoughts and opinions,
most sought after storyline is for the end of the season. What you really want to be wrapped up with a bow the most out of all these crazy storylines that are going on. If you can pick one,
the most important one for me is to wrap up the Grandma Jody TC Angelville aspect of it.
So that you bypass Jesse having Genesis.
I feel because he hasn't had access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost in a way kind of I'm used to that in a way. Granted, I want that to be part of it, but I really want the whole house to fucking burn down and Grandma go out the roof like a rocket and have the big kiss moment on the lawn between the two of them. I ain't much for romance, but the crazy over-the-top romance shit that happens in the book kind of always got me. You know what I mean? I was it's crazy. And it's they're kind of getting it a little bit this season, but still it's that's one of the epic moments in the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's just fuck this, fuck that. They're both kind of struggling on their own things, and they come together in the end, and it's fuck it, we fucking did it.
Well, yeah, it's really the first big win that they have.
Yeah.
As a team.
Sure.
So.
Sure. And it's just the two of them. You know what I mean? Cassie's not even there. So if that's how it ends, you know what I mean, more or less, and they all right, let's go get on the road and go meet up with Cassidy. I'd be all right with that.
I think it's safe to say that they'll wrap that storyline this season.
Right.
I really just don't know what else they can do with those three characters going into next season.
As far as setting them up?
Yeah, because, they've been leading with whenever Tulip and Jesse have alone time, they make it a point to have a conversation about their plan to get out of there and what their plans on, how they plan on killing Grandma, TC, and Jody.
It usually feels a little forced. But.
So if they were to not do that this season, I think it would be a huge missed opportunity, and I think it would really be a big hindrance on
if they didn't wrap it up, you mean? Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They keep promising it like it's a thing, though, we got to do. So that's the thing. If they don't wrap up them, I feel the other storylines, like I feel like those all become the cliffhanger. Like their storyline doesn't need a cliffhanger. Like you said, let them have this win between the two of them, and then you can tease out all the other stuff. The Grail's not gone yet.
Right.
Santa Killers is still in play somehow, and Arseface, where's he at? You know what I mean? It's there's still other things to leave as like a cliffhanger-y thing. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Granted, like I would love it to be the Genesis stuff and the grandma stuff. Like if you gave me two,
yeah,
like that would be my thing. And then like whatever else goes. But you know, what would be interesting is if they kind of end where this season ends and then pick up like the same way the book picks up right after it, because the book picks up with the two of them just driving. Cassidy's not even around yet, and they end up having to go back for Cassidy, I think, or they head back that way or something.
After
like
they get rid of Grandma.
Right, and
yeah.
they kind of run into him, kind of thing. And
yeah.
They're like, oh shit, I think he's right there.
I think they meet up in New York City. I believe that's what happens.
We're gonna have to do homework.
We will.
We will.
I've been rereading the book as we go.
See, there you go, folks. That's the key. We hope you're reading along with us. So, yeah.
That's episode.
I think that's
8,
gonna.
season 3.
I think that's gonna wrap it up for us.
Tom/Brady.
Tom/Brady, the infamous Tom/Brady maneuver. I thought it was gonna be something dirty.
I really wanted it to be like they were gonna deflate the fuck out of Allfather. I really thought that's what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like they were gonna like just. He was just gonna like fizzle out like somehow. Like he was like gonna just. Yeah. Exactly. Because that would have been genius.
Well, if we're lucky, we'll still get him falling out of a plane.
Yeah.
You know, and what does he land on? He lands on Humperdoo?
I believe so, yes.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Me and Palmer were talking about that. I know he lands on somebody.
Yeah, I think it's Humperdoo.
And I think it's like, and that's like the way that the book loves to kind of be like it's not just tragedy, it's like tragic irony.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, who's the worst thing, like, you know, he could do? I'll land on my most important guy.
Right.
Yeah. Take them both out in one shot. So, folks, thanks for listening. This is Preacher vs. Preacher. Check us out next week. And check out our other shows. Check out the DC TV Report if you're looking for more Preacher talk. They're recapping it every week, amongst other DC TV news right now, because there's no other shows on.
We won't be there.
We won't be there. You'll catch Ed O'Hare and Dr. Sarah Netzley, literally a doctor of letters. And check out the Wicked Theory podcast. Please check us out. Come hang out with us. We're going to be gone soon. And then you're going to be like, where are my friends? And we're still around.
Yeah, I mean, we're only doing this show for 2 more episodes.
I mean, come on.
Until next year.
Well, speaking of which, until the end of the world.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.